Okay, so in this week's guitar lesson, we're going to take a look at a country, rock, blues style lead. It's kind of a hybrid of different styles, but we're going to break it all down note for note, and I'll explain where all of the notes come from so that you can understand them and put them in context. That's the real value add to this, and that's how you can remember licks like this going forward if you want to use them in other things. When you can connect them back to chord shapes and things you already know, it makes it a lot easier to retrieve them in the future. So we're going to go through the first half of that lead in this video. If you'd like to learn the second half, download the tablature, download the MP3 jam tracks, which I have in multiple tempos so that you can practice playing everything along with the jam track. You can get those things by going to activemelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP515. Okay, so this rhythm track that we're going to be playing over is pretty basic in terms of structure. It's a rhythm in the key of E, and it goes from the 1 chord, which is your E, to the 4 chord, which is your A. And then it goes to instead of going to the 5 chord, it goes to a G, then back to the A, and then back to the 1 chord. So we're going to be basically hitting all of those chords as they go by, but we're only going to really be using the pentatonic scales, major, minor pentatonic scale, and we're going to be pretty much just staying in the key of the song. So that makes this a lot easier. We're not necessarily thinking about chords and arpeggios in this lesson. This is really more of just a play in the key of the song, stick with the good old pentatonic scales, and see what you can come up with. So let's listen to the first part of that, and then we'll talk about it. All right, so that first lick starts off with... That's all pretty much just E major pentatonic scale. So here's the real takeaway to this lick and how you can use this and remember it going forward. So let's look at, remember we're playing in the key of E, so I'm going to look at my E chord right here. And where I've got my 2 fingers, my middle finger and my ring finger on that 2nd fret, I'm going to let that be sort of a visual anchor. And so I'm going to use my index finger on that same fret, the 2nd fret, and we're going to come down here to the 6th string. And I'm going to play the 2nd and the 4th fret on the 6th string. We'll do the same on the 5th string, and we'll do the same on the 4th string. Now what I've just showed you there is a little box, easy to play, easy to visualize because you're just skipping a fret with each string and they're all on top of each other. But connect that to your E chord shape. This is the key to the whole thing. So that if we were playing, if you wanted to use these licks in another key, let's say it was G sharp, well, here's my G sharp chord using that E shape. There's those 2 fingers, right? So now I've got that same little box here. So that's sort of how you can kind of use these licks in different keys when you connect them back to chord shapes. So that first lick goes, and that's what I'm doing is I'm just sliding into that little box there. It's E major pentatonic scale. I'm using my ring finger to go from the 2nd fret to the 4th fret. We go up to the 5th string and then to the 4th string. And a little kind of capped it off with that. But you can see where it's coming from. Now we're going to stay in the E major pentatonic scale, but we're going to slide everything up and now go between the 4th fret and the 6th fret. We've got another little box here. So the 4th string and the 3rd string. It's the same kind of concept. So look at what you've got. So you can slide from one box into the other, and that gives you this wide range of pentatonic scale, major pentatonic scale notes. So this next lick goes like this. So you can see I'm sliding with my ring finger, 4th fret to the 6th fret on the 4th string, and then we go 4, 6 on the 3rd string, back to the 4th fret, 4th string. That's the only tricky part, is getting both of those fingers in that same fret. Just practice doing that. And this little box here, by the way, is in pattern 4 of your major pentatonic scale for E. And then we're going to come up here and go. There's another classic country pedal steel kind of lick. And I'm up here doing a full bend on the 7th fret, 2nd string. And then I'm going to hit the 5th fret, 1st string, which is not in your major pentatonic scale. That would be like the 4th interval in your major scale. But this is you don't have to think about that. I want you to just think about this lick for now. So you do the bend, hit the note, release it, and then you play this last little part of it, which would be 5th fret, 2nd string, 6th fret, 3rd string, back to the 5th fret, 2nd string. you can get a lot of mileage out of this little area. And this note, that fourth interval of your major scale, is one that a lot of folks don't use. I don't hear that as much. I hear it a lot more in country. But what I do hear in rock or classic rock or southern rock is this. You hear this a lot. So that's that same bend on that 7th fret 2nd string and coming up to the 7th fret 1st string, which would be in your E major pentatonic scale. But a lot of people don't think to play this note because it's not in the major pentatonic scale, but it is in the major scale. So that's why it works. So you can do things like... You can get a lot of mileage just sort of playing off of this note and this note from your first string. Okay, so now we're going to come down here and play. So this is going into E minor pentatonic. So we're kind of blending the minor and the major pentatonic scale in this one spot. You could also think of this as E mixolydian mode. But what gives it that, you can tell it sort of switched gears from being happy and major sound to sort of minor, and it's because of this one note, which is your flat 7. So you go up to the 7th interval in your major scale for E, and then you flat that 7. That's what gives you that sound. So we're going to start with that note, a little hammer on, pull off, hammer on. And so that's happening here between the 2nd fret and the 3rd fret on that 2nd string. Then we do a hammer on to the 4th fret 3rd string. Go back to that 2nd fret 2nd string, and then quick slide with your ring finger down into minor pentatonic scale for E, which would be the 2nd fret 3rd string. So you're starting off here, and then you're going to slide down into this position, which allows me to go minor pentatonic scale or major pentatonic scale. This would be like pattern 1 for E. But just pivoting my hand down into that position allows me a whole new set of licks. A lot of that is what you do when you're improvising, is you're just getting in, you're always setting up the next shot. It's kind of like a game of pool. You're trying to get in position. So once I'm in this position, I can play minor or major pentatonic scale down here. So I've got a whole new set of ideas that illuminate for me. And that's kind of how it works. It happens really quickly though. So that's the next lick. We're going to do open 3rd string to our major 3rd interval, which would be the 1st fret 3rd string. Open 2nd string, 2nd fret 2nd string, back to your open 2nd string. All right, let's put all of that together now. So after, then I went, so 1st string, 2nd fret 2nd string, back to the 1st string. Now what is all of this? Now this is major pentatonic scale for E. Think of your chord shape, your E chord shape down in 1st position. You've got your 1st fret 3rd string, which is your 3rd, your major 3rd interval. Just think of your E chord where your index finger would be. You've got that. Open 2nd string, 2nd fret 2nd string, open 1st string. You've also got 2nd fret 1st string. So this is like another little box pattern that's connected to that E chord shape. So you can see this shape, this chord shape, has all of these little barnacles on it. And this is one of the barnacles. This is how I think of it. And then here's another one down here. Same kind of thing, but an octave lower. And when you can picture just that, if you get nothing else out of this lesson, just that one concept, you can take and play in B now. You've got, and you've got, right now I can do this in any key. I can take this little E major pentatonic scale idea and play it anywhere. Then we go into this, which is, now you can tell it switches gears. We dialed it into the blues here. I went into minor pentatonic scale pattern 2. So I slid into that. So my index finger's on the 3rd fret 2nd string, my middle finger's on the 4th fret 3rd string. And I'm playing those two notes together along with the open E string. And I just think of that as one of my classic blues licks. And I always connect it back to this E chord shape. I just know how to get there quickly from this area, from this neighborhood. All right, so now the song switches to the A. We go to the 4th chord, and I played. And that lick works for 2 reasons. One, it's outlining the notes, the major third of your A chord. So I'm thinking my A chord here using the E shape, right? So it kind of highlights the notes from that chord, but it also is notes from your major pentatonic scale pattern 4 for E, for the key of the song. So that's what the lick, that's where it comes from. In my mind, it's just, I was just thinking E major pentatonic scale. So we're really back to the same major pentatonic scale pattern 4 that we've already been in. And that's what I'm doing throughout this entire lead. I'm really just playing the E major pentatonic scale, throwing in an occasional minor pentatonic scale thing. That's kind of the easy way to summarize this whole thing. Now watch this lick. So that's kind of cool. That's going like chromatically, we're going into the minor pentatonic scale. I now went into minor pentatonic scale pattern 3, for those of you that are keeping up with your patterns. Your minor pentatonic scale pattern 3 is right there connected to, basically sharing a lot of the same notes as your major pentatonic scale pattern 4. But I'm using that same E note for both of them. Obviously, the same note is in both of those scales. And so I just kind of anchor my index finger there. And if I want to go minor, I come up here. If I want to go major, I'm here. So that's kind of a simple way of looking at that. That lick is a full bend there on the 8th fret 2nd string. That's the E minor pentatonic scale pattern 3. So we walk it up, and then we walk it back. And then I come back to that 5th fret 2nd string, that E note. And then I come down here to this 3rd fret 2nd string. And I kept going into that, and I was just really highlighting that. That's that flat 7, right? That's your E7 chord. I was just hitting that note over and over again because I was probably just lost when I was trying to, that's probably the truth. When I was coming up with the idea for what to do next, I was letting that, I was going into autopilot for that minute just to think about the next move. So that's just a flat 7 there, and I was hitting it over and over again by sliding into it. And that's just alternate picked. Everything's alternate picked. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up with the right hand. And then watch this. There's a quick slide from that 3rd fret 2nd string down to the 2nd fret, and then a pull off to the open 2nd string. And then 2nd fret 3rd string. Conclude that with this open 2nd string. All right, so we have. And then after that I played. So that's kind of corny sounding, but I don't know, it kind of worked. I was actually just repeating the same thing like the thing I was doing there, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, it's an open 3rd string to the 1st fret 3rd string. Just think of your E chord where your index finger goes down. So I did that 1 or 2 times, maybe 3 times. No, I think it was 2. And then I played the top part of that E chord, your open 1 string, or the open 1 and 2 string. You can do either way. And so it's like, played the E chord, and then watch this. 2 upstrokes on strings 1 and 2, and then my A chord, but I'm just really playing, I don't know, strings 2 and 3. And then I hammered back into that E chord. So now that is another little takeaway. You might want to walk away and just think about what's going on there. This is super powerful stuff, this kind of lick. It doesn't seem like much, but I use this all the time in rhythm and lead playing. Look at that. It works over any chord because I'm just connecting it to the chord shape. So if I wanted to play it in G sharp, right? So, now, this is where the song goes to a G instead of the 5 chord, instead of going to the B. I don't know why I did that. I just thought it sounded kind of cool. And I just played the G chord right here using the E shape. I think I only used the top 4 strings. And then put my pinky down to play like a G6 on that 5th fret 2nd string. Little embellishment using my pinky, basically. Then the song goes to the A. Well, I could have just walked it up there. That would have worked, right? But instead, I came up a little higher. Went to this like A7 triad. Red House, right? That's where I got that idea, was from the song Red House by Hendrix. So I came up into that instead. I just thought that sounded cooler and a little more unexpected. Just hit the notes 1, 2, 3, and you can see how to play it there. And then I went ahead and got up here to the 12th fret 1st string, and even though the song hadn't fully gone to the E chord, I went ahead and got there before. And you hear that in country and people that play the chord changes all the time. They go ahead and get to the chord before the chord actually happens. So it's like, all of this is just E major pentatonic scale pattern 1. Look at this. That's what I'm thinking about. Now some of these notes are outside of that. So after this 12th fret 1st string, I went quick slide from the 12th fret to the 11th fret on the 3rd string, down to the 9th fret. And then we go 11, 9 on the 4th string. And you can see, I'm just in E major pentatonic scale pattern 1, with the exception of this one note. That's just sliding out of the box for that 1 second. And then we come back up here, so I go ahead and bar on that 9th fret and play 4th string, 3rd string. So we have, and then we go 11, 9 again, and then that's kind of a bluegrass lick. So middle finger goes down on the 10th fret, 5th string. We do a hammer onto the 11th fret, and then we come up here and walk back into that major pentatonic scale. So. And then there's one other little part to this that goes. And that's walking up to, that would be the 12th fret 2nd string, 13th fret 3rd string. This little harmony here. I'll explain it in just a minute. We walk that down 2 frets, and then we come down here and bar the first 3 strings on the 9th fret. We just play strings 2 and 3. So we have, and then we have 11th fret 4th string, 9th fret 4th string, and then we walk it back up. So this little embellishment is an embellishment that I've talked about. I'll actually put a micro lesson up where I went into detail on this, and so I don't have to go through that again. But basically, it's an embellishment off of your A chord shape, or you can think of it as this little triad here. You can get a lot of mileage off of little harmonies and things that you can connect to this triad here. All right, so I realize that's a lot of information crammed into the first 30 seconds of a solo, but I wanted to be as thorough as I could. So come join us in part 2, where we'll go over the second half, lots of other ideas that you can steal from this, and hopefully you're enjoying this style of learning where we take a solo and we break it down and we just kind of super hyper analyze everything. So you have the notes, but you have everything in context. Leave me a comment and let me know if this is this kind of style that resonates with you and the kind of thing that you enjoy hearing. And then join us in part 2 where we'll go over the second half. You can also download the tablature, the MP3 jam track. You can get all those extra things if you come to activemelody.com. And if you've never been to activemelody.com, come over there and check us out. I have about 12 years worth of in-depth lessons just like this one, and they're all designed to help you improvise. That's the whole point of all of these lessons, just to share my knowledge. All right, we'll see you in part 2.